we will talk just briefly about the challenges that rural areas have in Croatia in this presentation. They are almost the same in every part of Europe, in all rural areas, but I'd say the conditions are a bit more severe in some cases. So we are presenting a case study of two local government units, one in the hinterlands and one in the coastal area, to see something about the trends of depopulations and the possible reasons. Some ideas of projects mentioned that would take place in rural areas, but financed by other funds outside of and beyond the common agriculture policy. And the effects, multiplicative effects that these projects have in those rural communities. And in the end, our suggestion about this digital tool and an example, what we used in Croatia for 5 years, but the costs were quite high, so we stopped in 2021. The main challenges, I'd say, are always the same: demographic decline, modest labor market, depopulation, lack of health and education infrastructure, some basic services lack completely some areas. Of course, that all leads to social inequality, low knowledge and information, and that's a point we will make in the end of this presentation. A lack of full connectivity and a great distance from urban centers in some areas. The main focus is, of course, de-agrariization and the fact that we are really moving beyond agriculture and everything that's linked to food production. And this exodus leads to trade disruption, reduction of agricultural production, and affects the self-sustainability of these areas and, of course, resilience in the end. I will present you two areas. One in the hinterlands that was heavily hit by the earthquake in 2020. This is an aggravating circumstance, but the fact is that this region was already suffering from depopulation and lack of services. So maybe it's not nice to say, but it could be a chance for those regions. And the other, in my local action group in the coastal area of Croatia, that have needs, that have the same needs, more or less the same number of inhabitants, but the trends and the way rural development is handled in this region is fairly different. The area of Lekenik had in 10 years ago about 6,000 people, and in 10 years they had a decline of 11% of population, but we think it's far more. On the other hand, this area in the coastal region had a smaller population, but basically people are moving to other government units in the region or nearby. For example, the hinterland unit, Lekenik, has issues with healthcare. On the other hand, the other one has a renewed big medical center with pharmacy, and the local governments co-finances medical exams for all the inhabitants all the year, for example. These are all tools and possibilities to fight depopulation at least a bit. The coastal one, Jelanje, has a renewed elementary school, a renewed kindergarten, full connectivity, and it's quite distant from the capital, Zagreb, but has a big urban center near Rijeka. The basic infrastructure is fully covered. On the other hand, in Lekenik, almost 50% of all settlements have no water supply whatsoever or electricity, and the budget of the local governments is more or less the same. So it's a strange trend, and we really have to combat depopulation with new tools and new ideas and innovation. And of course we need more economic opportunities. to we have some good practices. It was a rocky path, and of course there are some things well done in Croatia. For example, the combining of policies and financial instruments. I'm very happy about DigiRegio saying that they are preparing a toolkit, so we will have the possibility to use more possibilities in our areas, but it takes time and quite a lot of capacity to deliver rural development ideas in that way. We are delivering many information to local communities, especially the distant ones, the remote ones, through lags and flags. But we have to assess better the needs of local communities and I said earlier, boost the culture of sharing information and ensuring that everybody could have an equal access to funding and knowledge. So LEADER is really a good tool to do that. Some examples of non-agricultural or agri-food projects that were done in rural areas in Croatia, for example, for the areas with no water infrastructure, there is an idea of a solar-powered plant and solar-powered desalinator for 2 islands. We are making a lot of progress with sustainable renewable energy, and more than 50% of energy in Croatia is coming from renewable sources now. We're very happy that there are private and public investments, but also crowdfunding. The European Social Fund is giving it's giving a big hit hits forward to all the rural communities. For example, this is a project, the Lady for the Island, that made the life easier and the quality of life for 41 beneficiaries. We are also talking a lot about protection and rescue teams in Croatia, especially after the earthquake. So there's an example, the HITRO project, and it was the 3rd best Interreg project in Europe in 2020, I think. We're trying to use more e-learning virtual hubs and digital tools. For example, the 3 Rural project, it has the stakeholders of LAC 5 in Croatia as their beneficiaries, but it's taken, it's been implemented in 8 EU countries since now. And as a way of bringing the rural areas in 21st centuries, I'm giving you the example of a network that really made a big impact on bringing us to the 21st century, and it is financed by the Connecting Europe Broadband Fund. Lags and flags in Croatia use far more funds than only the ones they have their accreditation for. You could see that in the periods 2014-2022, we had 102 million euros from the Agriculture Fund. In the same period, flags used about 30 million from the Maritime Fund, but also about 60 million euro from other funds, basically, and mainly the social funds. So we have the possibility to implement these social characteristics in our strategies in a better way in this period, and we really know that there is a need for that. In the end, to conclude this, we really think that information can improve rural governance and service delivery to combat depopulation. So we're giving a small suggestion how to create an open forum as a simple tool that could be searchable by sub-regional areas or in size and specific teams, something like Ms. Sarabianchi said. It could be also, there could be projects about public infrastructure, ideas for SMEs, heritage and environment, digital public services, and sustainable mobility and transport. Um, Little Network Croatia created a tool. We used the public network spot B, but it was quite pricey in the end for 5 years, and we use it as a policy making, policy planning, and problem solving tool for all the languages in Croatia, and it gave great ideas. Unfortunately, the managing authorities just peeked into this platform, but nonetheless, all the things we set and made there finally made it to national policies. So we would really love something simple, maybe even in local national languages, so that it could be better for the stakeholders to use. I'm ending it here, and I'm just going to say that we will deliver all the information about the work of this work group to at the national conference Inspira Leader that will take place in April. It's a conference about green and digital transition and how should Lags and Flags implement those ideas and concepts in their local development strategies, of course, connecting all to the smart village platforms and smart village concept. So we think that this is one way of fighting rural depopulation, but we are really keen on getting all your ideas in the end of the day. Thank you very much.